Picture this. 5:30 on a freezing November morning in 1953, and Britain's working men are stirring in cold bedrooms across Sheffield, Newcastle, Cardiff, and the East End. Before they pick up the pickaxe, the shipyard hammer, or the mill loom, there is one thing standing between them and a 12-hour shift: the fry-up. Not a fancy brunch, not avocado on sourdough, a proper plate of meat, bread, and grease that would carry a man through until tea time. These were the meals that built Britain, the fuel of the working class. Today we are counting down 20 British working man's fry-ups that powered the nation through factory shifts, pit work, and post-war rationing. Number 1 fed more men to a shift change than any other dish in British history. Let's begin the countdown with number 20. Fried bread sat on the working man's plate as the silent partner of every proper breakfast, soaking up the dripping that gave it its golden, crisp edges. Housewives kept a tin of beef dripping by the stove, ladling spoonfuls into a heavy iron pan until it shimmered, then dropping in slices of yesterday's loaf, cut thick from the doorstep. Within a minute, the bread turned mahogany at the edges, soft in the middle, glistening with fat that carried the memory of last Sunday's roast. By 1955, dripping was a staple in nearly every working-class household, the National Food Survey recording over half a pound consumed per family each week. The bread cost mere pence, the dripping nothing at all, yet together they delivered the calories a man needed before facing the early shift. Children begged for the corner pieces, where the crust met the pan and turned almost biscuit hard. Fathers used the slice to mop up egg yolk and bean sauce, finishing the plate without leaving a smear. Today, fried bread has all but vanished, dismissed as unhealthy. But for generations of working men, it was the foundation of a proper start. Hog's pudding ruled the West Country breakfast plate, a thick, peppery sausage that spoke of Devon and Cornwall as clearly as the cream tea ever did. Butchers stuffed pig's offal, oatmeal, suet, and a fierce mixture of black and white pepper into natural casings, then smoked the result over wood for a flavor no factory could match. By the mid-1950s, hog's pudding sold for around 8 pence a pound at village butchers from Tavistock to Truro, sliced thick and dropped into a pan of bacon fat to sizzle until the edges blistered. The smell carried through cob cottages and miners' terraces alike, a savory promise that wrapped itself around the morning. Men working the china clay pits of St. Austell queued at the butcher's window on payday, knowing a fry-up with hog's pudding would carry them through a shift underground. Children remember the dark slices appearing alongside their eggs, the crackle of the casing, the peppery heat that warmed the back of the throat. Today it survives in pockets of Devon and Cornwall, a working man's breakfast that still tastes of the place that made it. Devilled kidneys carried the smell of the Edwardian gentleman's breakfast room down through the years until they landed, slightly battered but unbroken, on the plates of working men in railway hotels and dockside cafes. Lamb's kidneys, bought for 4 pence a pound in the early 1950s, were halved, cored, and tossed in a hot pan with butter, English mustard, Worcestershire sauce, and a shake of cayenne. The result was sharp, rich, almost violent in flavor. The heat hit the back of the throat before the iron taste of the kidney settled in. Engine drivers on the LNER line swore by them. Stevedores in Liverpool docks queued for a portion at the Workman's Cafe before the early tide. The dish promised stamina, and it delivered. A man could eat devilled kidneys at 6 in the morning and still be standing tall at sundown. As offal fell from favor in the supermarket age, devilled kidneys retreated from breakfast tables into the pages of old cookbooks, surviving only in the memories of those who knew that proper iron came on a plate, not in a vitamin bottle. Number 17. Lamb's liver and bacon was the cheapest cure for a tired man, a fry-up so packed with iron and protein that doctors recommended it well into the 1960s. Housewives bought lamb's liver for 6p a pound at the butcher's counter, knowing that speed in the pan was everything. The liver hit the hot fat with a hiss, browned for barely a minute on each side, and was lifted out before it could turn grey and bitter. Streaky bacon crisped alongside, the fat rendering into the pan, ready to receive a slice of onion or a halved tomato. Served on a warm plate with a slick of dark gravy, it was the working-class equivalent of a tonic. Men who had spent the week down the pit or hauling crates on the docks came home to liver and bacon on a Tuesday tea, the iron rebuilding what the shift had taken out. Children winced at the smell. Grandfathers cleaned the plate. Today, liver and bacon is a nostalgic curiosity, but in its heyday, it was one of the most nutritionally efficient meals a working family could put on the table for under a shilling. Number 16. Spam fritters arrived in British kitchens as a wartime necessity and refused to leave for 3 decades. American tinned pork shoulder, shipped across the Atlantic by the million through Lend-Lease, became a staple of the British working class long after the bombs had stopped falling. Housewives sliced the pink loaf into thick rounds, dipped them in a batter of flour, milk, and a beaten egg, and fried them in dripping until the outside turned golden and crunchy, and the inside swelled with hot, salty pork. A tin of spam cost 1 shilling and 10p in 1953, enough to feed a family of 5 with chips and beans on the side. Fish and chip shops on the seafronts of Blackpool and Margate sold spam fritters straight from the fryer, wrapped in newspaper. School children ate them in canteens. Dockers carried them in their snap tins. The fritter was everything the working class needed. Cheap, fast, filling, and faintly exotic. Today, spam fritters survive only in old-fashioned chippies and Hawaiian gift shops, a strange culinary echo of the days when an American tin saved a British kitchen. Number 15. Bubble and Squeak earned its place on the Monday morning fry-up by refusing to let anything go to waste. The leftover potatoes and cabbage from Sunday roast sat overnight in a covered bowl, ready to be mashed together with a fork the next morning. Into a pan slicked with bacon fat went the cold green mash, pressed flat with a fish slice and left to crisp until the bottom turned dark brown and the cabbage threatened to catch. The flip was always dramatic. A quick prayer, a sharp wrist, and the disc landed back in the pan with a smell that ran through every terrace street in the country. By 1955, Bubble and Squeak appeared in over 40% of British households on a Monday, according to surveys conducted by the women's magazines of the day. Served with a fried egg on top and a rasher of bacon on the side, it was the working man's protest against waste. Every shred of yesterday's cabbage given new life, every cold potato turned crisp and golden. The dish was thrift made delicious, and it shaped how an entire generation thought about food. Number 14. EGG and chips was the Friday night fry-up of the British working class, the meal you treated yourself to when the pay packet was still warm in your back pocket. Working men's cafes from Stoke to Southend lined their windows with steam and the smell of frying potato, the sign in chalk reading egg and chips, 1 and 6, right through the late 1950s. The chips were cut thick by hand, peeled while the urn boiled, and dropped into beef dripping that bubbled at exactly the right temperature. 2 eggs fried over easy slid onto the plate beside the mountain of chips, yolks ready to break and run gold across the lot. A bottle of HP sauce sat on every Formica table. A mug of strong tea finished the picture. Lorry drivers swore by it. Apprentices counted the days until pay Friday for it. Builders' laborers carried the memory of egg and chips through 40 years on the tools. As supermarket microwave meals took over in the 1980s, the workman's cafe began its long retreat. Today, the proper egg and chips supper survives only in a handful of greasy spoons that refuse to die. Number 13. The lawn sausage anchored the Scottish working-class breakfast with a flat, square slab of seasoned beef and rusk that fit perfectly on a buttered roll. Invented in Glasgow in the late 19th century, the square sausage became the morning fuel of shipyard workers on the Clyde, miners in Lanarkshire, and steelmen in Motherwell. Butchers pressed the mixture into long trays, sliced it into squares half an inch thick, and sold it by the half-pound for around 10p in the mid-1950s. The lawn hit the pan with a satisfying flat sizzle, browning evenly on both sides, the rusk soaking up dripping until the edges turned crisp. Slapped between two halves of a morning roll, it became the legendary Glasgow breakfast piece, eaten on the bus to work or on the walk down the dockside. Children grew up never questioning why their sausage was square. It just was. Oral histories from the Clyde shipyards recall men buying a piece on a roll from the Bridge Cafe before the 7 o'clock whistle, the salt and fat lifting them into the working day. The lawn survives in Scotland today, but as a regional curiosity rather than the national fuel it once was. Number 12. Welsh laverbread brought the taste of the sea straight onto the fry-up plate, a glossy black paste of cooked seaweed that turned a Swansea breakfast into something no other corner of Britain could match. Gathered from the rocks at Penclard and boiled for hours until it broke down into a smooth, dark mass, laverbread was mixed with oatmeal, shaped into small patties, and fried in bacon fat until the outside crisped and the inside turned warm and briny. By 1955, Swansea Market sold laverbread by the pound to dockers, tin workers, and miners heading home from the night shift. The taste was strange to outsiders, salty, mineral, faintly bitter. But to the Welsh working class, it was the missing piece of a proper breakfast, eaten with cockles, bacon, and a thick slice of fried bread. Singer Richard Burton called it Welshman's caviar in a 1960s interview, and the name stuck. The dish never travelled beyond South Wales because the seaweed was too perishable and the flavour too particular. Today, laverbread survives in Swansea and in a few specialist shops, a working man's breakfast that still tastes of the Gower coast. Number 11. Cumberland sausage coiled itself across the working man's plate in the Lake District like a spring of pure pork, a meaty, peppery rope so long that butchers measured it by the foot rather than the link. Made from coarse chopped pork shoulder, white pepper, nutmeg, and mace, the Cumberland was sold as a continuous spiral, weighing in at around a pound, costing roughly 1 shilling and 3p in the mid-1950s. Quarrymen in Honister, slate workers in Coniston, and farmhands across the Eden Valley took their fry-ups seriously, and a length of Cumberland sausage was the heart of the morning. Coiled into a heavy pan, with a metal skewer pinning it flat, it browned slowly while the eggs went on around it. The smell of pepper and pork drifted through stone-built cottages and slate-roofed terraces. By the 1970s, supermarket pressure to standardize had begun to threaten the genuine article, but in 2011, the European Union granted Cumberland sausage protected geographical status. The dish endures today in proper butchers from Penrith to Ulverston, a working breakfast that still tastes of the fells that fed it. Number 10. The bacon butty was the simplest fry up Britain ever produced and the most beloved. 2 thick slices of cheap white bread, a knob of butter melting into the warm crumb, and 4 rashers of streaky bacon fried until the edges blistered and curled. The sandwich was assembled hot, the bread soaking up the bacon fat, the whole thing pressed flat with the palm of the hand before the first bite. By 1958, the bacon butty appeared in nearly every workman's cafe in the country, sold for around 8 pence apiece and consumed by the million each morning. The argument over sauce raged in every corner. Brown sauce in the north, ketchup in the south, mustard for the strange ones. Building site workers ate them off paper. Bus drivers grabbed them between routes. Dockers swore that a bacon butty and a mug of tea could fix any hangover known to man. The simplicity was the genius. No knife, no fork, no plate required. Just bread, bacon and butter, eaten standing up in the cold morning air, the steam rising off the sandwich like a small private heater for the working hand. The mixed grill stood as the working man's reward. It was the fry-up that crossed the line from breakfast into a proper meal. Pubs from the Cotswolds to the East End served the mixed grill at lunchtime, the menu changing slightly with the region, but the core remaining constant. On the plate, a lamb chop, a piece of liver, a kidney, a sausage, a rasher of bacon, a fried egg, a flat mushroom, a grilled tomato, and a heap of chips on the side. The plate cost 2 shillings and sixpence in 1954, expensive for the time, but considered worth every penny by men celebrating the end of a hard week. The grill itself, that wide cast-iron rack under the gas flame, sizzled with the combined fat of half a butcher's shop. Pub landlords swore the mixed grill was the single biggest seller behind beer. Lorry drivers planned their routes around pubs known for a proper one. The dish was less a meal than a statement. A man who could afford the mixed grill had earned it. As pub kitchens contracted in the 1980s and gastropub menus turned to risotto, the mixed grill quietly retreated, surviving today only in old-fashioned cafes that still know what a working man wants. Number 8. Faggots and peas arrived on the fry-up plate from the Black Country, where butchers in Walsall, Wolverhampton and Dudley shaped offal and breadcrumbs into round, savoury balls and baked them in trays of rich gravy. The proper working man's breakfast version saw the faggots split open and fried in dripping until the cut sides crisped and browned, the gravy clinging to the edges. Served with mushy peas and a thick slice of fried bread, faggots were a Black Country morning ritual, sold by the pound at shops like Mrs. Eaton's of Walsall, which still trades under the same name today. In 1955, a pound of faggots cost around 10 pence, feeding 4 men with peas and bread for under 1 and 6 total. The dish carried the strong, peppery taste of pig's liver and heart, finished with sage and a sharp onion note. Foundry workers in the West Midlands queued for them on a Saturday morning, eating standing up at the counter before the football. Today, faggots survive in the Black Country as a stubborn local pride, a working man's breakfast that the supermarket revolution never quite managed to kill. Number 7. Pan-fried kippers brought the smell of the Northumberland coast into kitchens across the country, a smoked herring breakfast so distinctive it could announce itself from 3 streets away. Craster kippers, smoked in the same oak smokehouse since 1856, arrived in working-class homes wrapped in grease-proof paper, the silver-bronze fish ready to be slid into a hot pan with a knob of butter. 3 minutes on each side was enough. The kipper crisped at the edges, the flesh turned firm and amber, the smell rolled through the house like a fog. Served with a poached egg on top and a thick slice of white bread to soak up the buttery juice, kippers were the breakfast of trawlermen in Hull, dockers in Grimsby, and miners on the Northumberland coast. By 1953, kippers cost around 4 pence a pair from the fishmonger, cheap enough for a midweek treat. The bones were the price of admission. A man who could not pick a kipper clean in 5 minutes was no man at all, said the old fisherman. Today, kippers have retreated to a niche corner of the supermarket chill cabinet, but their memory lingers wherever the smell of wood smoke and herring still drifts on a winter morning. Number 6. Fried tomatoes on bread did the impossible job of stretching a working-class fry-up into something resembling a proper meal when meat ran short. Housewives sliced overripe tomatoes thick, dropped them into a pan glistening with bacon fat, and let them collapse into a sweet, jammy mass while a piece of yesterday's bread fried alongside. The bread soaked up the tomato juice, turning red and rich. The whole plate finished in under 5 minutes for the cost of a few pence. By 1956, a pound of tomatoes sold for around 5p at the greengrocer's, making the dish the cheapest hot breakfast in the country. Allotment holders grew their own through the summer months, eating fried tomatoes for weeks on end as the gluts rolled in. Men heading to early shifts on the railways or at the gasworks ate a plate of fried tomatoes on bread when there was nothing else, and counted themselves lucky to have it. The dish never made the postcard tour of British breakfast, but it carried more working families through hard weeks than any sausage ever did. Today, it survives mostly in old gardening books and the kitchens of those who remember when a tomato glut meant supper for a fortnight. Number 5. Sausage and mash with a heap of fried onions on top crossed the line between breakfast and tea, and lived comfortably on both sides. The working man ate it at any hour, 6 in the morning before the early shift, 6 in the evening after the late one. Butcher's sausages, made fresh on the premises with coarse pork and herbs, sold for around 8p a pound in 1955. The mash was made from floury King Edward potatoes, beaten with butter and a splash of milk until it sat in pale, soft peaks on the plate. The onions were the secret. Sliced thin, fried slow in dripping for 20 minutes until they collapsed into sweet, dark threads that smelled like the working man's idea of paradise. A thick brown gravy poured over the lot completed the dish. Cafes on the Great North Road sold it from breakfast through to closing time, the smell of frying onions pulling drivers in from a quarter-mile away. The dish was honest and unpretentious, the embodiment of working-class cooking. Today, sausage and mash has been claimed by gastropubs and dressed up with truffle oil and red wine juice, but the original, simple, fried onion-topped version still lives in the better cafes. Number 4. Black pudding sat on the northern fry-up plate as a badge of regional honor. A dark, spiced disc of blood, oatmeal, and pork fat that divided opinion as fiercely as football. The berry version, sold from the famous market stalls since 1810, came tied with white string in pairs, the flavor intense and slightly sweet. The Stornoway version from the Hebrides, granted protected status in 2013, had its own distinctive blend of sweet and oatmeal that gave it a crumbly texture, unlike anything south of the border. Sliced thick and fried in bacon fat until the edges crisped and the center softened, black pudding was the morning anchor of mill towns, mining villages, and fishing ports across the north. By 1955, a pound of berry black pudding cost around 6p, feeding a family of 4 with bacon and eggs on the side. The taste was deep, almost meaty, with a faint sweetness from the oats. Children either loved it or refused it. Fathers always claimed the largest piece. As supermarkets pushed sanitized, shrink-wrapped versions onto national shelves, the proper article retreated to specialist butchers and farmers markets, where it survives today as a quiet point of northern pride. Number 3. Gammon and egg crowned the workman's cafe menu like a champion, the dish you ordered when the pay packet had survived the weekend, and a celebration was in order. A thick slice of cured pork, the rind crisped under the grill until it crackled, sat alongside a perfectly fried egg with a runny yolk and a heap of chips that filled half the plate. Some cafes added a slice of pineapple, a 1960s innovation that horrified the traditionalists. Most stuck with the holy trinity of meat, egg, and chips. By 1958, A gammon and egg supper cost 3 shillings at a respectable Joe Lyons, more at a hotel restaurant, and less at the lorry driver's cafe on the A1. The dish carried weight in every sense. The gammon weighed half a pound on its own, the egg added richness, the chips finished the job. Working men ate gammon and egg on Friday tea, on Sunday breakfast, and on the way home from a long-haul job. The smell of frying ham was the smell of payday. Today, gammon and egg survives in transport cafes that refuse to modernize, and pubs that still know what to put on a man's plate. Number 2. The doorstep bacon, sausage and egg sandwich was the portable fry-up, the working-class breakfast you could carry in one hand while running for the bus or balancing a flask in the other. 2 slices of white bread, cut 1 inch thick, buttered while still warm, then loaded with 2 rashers of bacon, a split sausage, and a fried egg with the yolk deliberately broken just before serving. The yolk soaked into the bottom slice of bread. The bacon fat lubricated the top. The sausage held the structure. Wrapped in grease-proof paper or a sheet of yesterday's newspaper, the doorstep sandwich traveled to building sites, dockyards, bus depots, and railway sheds across the country. By the 1960s, the dish was sold by the million each morning from workmen's cafes, market stalls, and roadside vans. The sandwich was engineering as much as cooking. The bread had to be thick enough to hold the fillings, but soft enough to bite. The egg had to be cooked through enough to handle but liquid enough to flavor. Today, the doorstep breakfast sandwich endures as the format of choice for the British working day, even as the fillings have multiplied and the bread has shrunk. And finally, in first place, the full English breakfast crowned the working-class table as the undisputed king of British fry-ups. Bacon, sausages, a fried egg, black pudding, fried bread, baked beans, a grilled tomato, and a flat mushroom, all on one plate, all hot at the same time, all anchored by a mug of strong tea and a rack of buttered toast. The full English was less a meal than a national ritual. By 1953, surveys recorded that over half of all British working men ate a full cooked breakfast at least 3 times a week, the dish powering shifts in factories, foundries, pits, and shipyards across the country. The choreography was everything. The bacon went in first, rendering its fat. The sausages joined next, browning slowly. Black pudding and tomato came in halfway through. The egg was cracked in last to keep the yolk soft. Fried bread soaked up whatever dripping remained. Oral histories from the construction trades recall full Englishes eaten on building sites at 6:30 in the morning, the smell drawing laborers from 3 streets away. Lorry drivers planned routes around legendary truck stops. The full English was the working man's contract with the day, an agreement that whatever the shift demanded, the body had the fuel to deliver. Today, the dish survives stronger than any other on this list, served in cafes, hotels, pubs, and railway carriages from Cornwall to the Highlands. It is the meal that built Britain, plate by plate, dripping by dripping, sausage by sausage. Across all 20 entries, from the humble fried bread that opened our list to the triumphant full English at the very top, these fry-ups tell the story of the working class that built modern Britain. They are the meals that fueled the pits, the mills, the shipyards, and the docks. Each plate stretched a few pence into a proper breakfast. Each rasher of bacon and slice of black pudding was a small act of defiance against hard times. The fry-up was never just food. It was the contract between the working man and the working day, sealed in dripping, and signed off with a mug of strong tea.